Hey YouTube, welcome back to another episode of the OKest MTG content creator with me, Chief. I know it's been a while, and today I think we're going to have a little fun because I wanted to ask the question, is there ever a time in a deck in a game of Magic where card draw, can it ever be bad? And I think I have one deck where we could say the card draw isn't exactly bad, but it can be less optimal. And yes, we're going to be looking at an old favorite of mine, probably my favorite commander ever. Here she is, Ojer Kaslem, Deepest Growth. Just to recap, she is for 3 and 2 green, a legendary creature god. She's a 6/5 trample who says whenever she deals combat damage to a player, you reveal that many cards from the top of your library, and you may put a creature card and or a land card from among them onto the battlefield and put the rest on the bottom in a random order. And when she dies, you return her to the battlefield tapped and transformed and under your owner's control. And she would be a land that you can pay 2 and a green, tap it, and transform it back into Ojer Kaslem. It's still my favorite commander. It's so fun. All you do is cheat out giant monstrous creatures and just go crazy. Swinging with combat. It's a lot of fun. So, in this deck, can card draw be bad? Well, potentially in some cases. And I think I got to go back and show you guys some snips of the previous video, the deck tech I did on this one, to show why too much card draw could be bad. This is a reason. 15 mana for an Earthquake Dragon. If it's in your hand, you're probably never getting it out because this is not a dragon deck. Worldspine Worm, 11 mana for 15/15. If it's in your hand, it's going to be very hard to get out. Same with Ancient Stone Idol, 10 mana. Galta Primal Hunger, which is actually usually pretty easy to cheat out if you already have some big creatures on the board, but still, that's 12 mana. Darksteel Colossus is 11. Pathways of Ulamog is 11. Impervious Great Worm is 10. So yeah, the idea with Ojer Kaslem is you want to actually cheat these creatures into play rather than cast them. Way more efficient, you get way more combat power onto the battlefield. That's what makes the deck fun, is just finding the ways to get combat damage through with your commander and just cheat out these monstrosities. Now, just want to recap. Here were the stats on the deck. 37 creatures, 35 lands. The reason there's only 35 lands is because I also run a lot of ramp. 21 pieces of ramp, and it's mono green. So you don't need as many lands. Plus, Ojer Kaslem is going to help you ramp every time you do combat damage, for the most part. Yeah, the 21 pieces of ramp. You'll notice only 6 pieces of card draw. So I do run a little bit of card draw on the deck just because eventually your game plan may have to change and you may have to start casting things from your hand in the later game when you have enough mana to do so. And you can see 9 creatures with over 10 power. So they're going to be high mana cost. It's just how the game's played. High mana cost, get high static creatures. Now, I did add some new things to the deck, and just for fun, I want to show you what I had added. So I did add a Blightsteel Colossus because why wouldn't you if you could just cheat it into play, right? It's a huge threat. Everybody's scared of it. Become the problem and have fun in the game. Primal Order was an older janky card that I found fun. It says during each player's upkeep, it deals damage to that player equal to the number of non-basic lands he or she controls. Now, this is symmetrical, however, we're running mostly basic forest. So it's going to hurt our opponents way more than us. Just a funny little problem to put on the board. And I added Emergent Woodworm. It is a 4/4 with backup 3, so when it comes in, you can put 3/1 counters on a target creature, including itself. And If that creature is a different one, it gains the following ability until end of turn. Whenever it attacks, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that creature's power, and you may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Now, if we make this thing a 7/7, when it attacks, you'll look at the top 7, you look for something 7 mana or less, and just put it onto the battlefield. So similar to what our commander is doing. Also wanted to talk about that, yes, there is some card draw in the deck. As I said, you're eventually going to need some. So, back to the snips from the previous video. We've got Garruk's Uprising. Makes sense. We have a lot of creatures with power 4 or greater, draw a card, and it's pulling double duty because it gives all our creatures trample, which is great. Also got Keeper of Fables. Whenever one or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, we draw a card. And I don't believe I have any humans that are doing combat damage in this deck. Throne of Eldraine is a great card. Big ramp piece. It also has the ability to draw cards, but it's all focused around one single mono color. We also got Shamanic Revelation. Draw a card for each creature you control, and gain 4 life for each creature you control, power 4 or greater. So a little life gain in case you've got some player doing group slug or life drain on us, so we can get a little cushion on our life total. Soul of the Harvest is a 6/6 with trample, which is already good, and whenever another non-token creature you control enters, you may draw a card. And of course, just a Harmonize, just a classic, pay 4 mana, draw 3 cards. So, but that's it for card draw in the deck, because we just don't want that much, because we'll just have huge mana cost cards just rotting in our hand until the later game. Now, here's why some card draw is going to be good in the deck. We do have Ovia, she's kind of like an Elvish Piper. Pay a green and tap her, and you can put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. So, very cheap, cheat in any creature from your hand that you want, and each creature that's attacking one of your opponents has trample. So, she's doing 2 great things in this deck. And of course we got Old Gnawbone, because he's just a huge mana ramp piece. Once we start doing lots of combat damage, we'll make a lot of treasures. And then once we have those big cards in our hand, we can still cheat them into play. Even if we can't actually cheat them into play, we'll cast them. Now, there are some things that I simply wouldn't add to this deck, because you might be saying, hey Chief, why wouldn't you just add every giant Eldrazi to the deck? Well, I'll show you. Because Eldrazi usually have cast triggers, and we're not casting the spells we cheat in with our commander. Like Desolation Twin, you cast it, you make another 10/10. Sure, cool, but we're not casting, so we would just cheat in one single 10/10. We can get the most value for it. The Tarask, great card. Costs 9 mana, we could cheat in 10/10. However, its real benefit only happens if it's cast. It would have haste and ward 10. And if it attacks, it fights a target creature defending player controls. Great card, great creature, but only really works well if you cast it. Same thing with Ulamog. If you cast it, exile 2 target permanents. 10/10 indestructible. Great card, we could cheat it in. We would not get the most benefit from its cast triggers. So that's pretty much it. I was a little embarrassed because everybody says, hey, why don't you have more card draw in your deck? Well, I think I explained that pretty well, is that in this deck with Ojer Kaslem, we don't want to draw as many cards as we simply want to cheat into play. And I think that that sums it up. So, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a while. I'm going to try to make these more often. It's always fun talking about the game that we all love so much. And yeah, Ojer Kaslem is still probably my favorite commander, because I just love mono green Stompy. Until next time, this has been the OKest MTG content creator. You have a good one.